Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video because we have a new palette from Nomad Cosmetics. So this is the Chicago Speakeasy palette. Nomad Cosmetics is one of my favorite indie brands. They did send this to me in PR and I do have a code with them. But my favorite palettes from them are always this time of year, the fall winter color stories. They're always a little more desaturated, a little darker, they're always my favorite. And this one is definitely no exception. I've already played around with some of the shades, but today we're gonna do swatches, 2 to 3 looks. I'm gonna film over a couple days so I can get multiple looks and really try this out. And then we'll do final thoughts and see if this is worth your money. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite special interest in sparkly indie shadows and high-end and luxury makeup. And I tend to be pretty analytical in the content I make. I just try really hard to make thorough, thoughtful content, and I have new videos every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. So this is the outer packaging. I really love this. It definitely fits the Chicago Speakeasy theme. I love the Art Deco pattern around the edge, and I just think the packaging is so well done. So the back, like normal, has the description of why and where this color story is. They do include, every palette has some kind of oil in the mattes, and they kind of depend on where it's based. So this one is pomegranate seed oil. I think for like, some of them it's been olive oil. It's been like different kinds of oils, but this has pomegranate seed oil in the shadows to help keep the skin soft, and I think that has to do with grenadine in cocktails, because if you didn't know, grenadine is not cherry, it is pomegranate. So I think that's also a really cute touch. And then every palette from Nomad, they're always cruelty-free, vegan, all of that, but then they also partner with a local charity, and this is a supporter of the Friends of the Chicago River, which I also appreciate. I have only driven through Chicago. I've never actually been, but I would like to go. I have friends there. Steven is there. Actually, these earrings are from Steven. And then when you slide it out of the box, this is the actual palette. It is really beautiful. It is felt with the gold inlay. It kind of reminds me of the Orient Express palette. It was the same kind of felt with gold pattern on it and the Art Deco vibe. Really like that. Really love this. So some information. This video is probably going up on the 5th. I did get this about a week ahead of time so I can film. So I'm hoping to have multiple looks and edited this by the 5th. And then this is launching on October 8th. Normally it's like midnight that day, so it's like midnight East Coast. So for me, it's like 9 p.m. Like 10 p.m. as I'm going to bed is when this will actually launch on the 7th, but it's the 8th. This is gonna retail for $59. It's a 15-pan palette because it is 10 mattes and 5 multichromes. And I think these are the best multichromes they've done so far. They've had them in a handful of palettes, and I think these are my favorite. And then you open it up, and this is the color story, the little protective sleeve. I really like this. So I don't know if you can tell, I have done some swatches and played around with some shades just to kind of see how they will appear on my skin tone. But I really love this. So like some of the other palettes, you have all the shimmers in the middle, and then you have like lighter mattes up here, darker mattes here, although this one's pretty light, but you have them kind of grouped in color families. It's so pretty. I hope I can capture the shift of all of these, but they are really beautiful multi-chrome. So you've got this like purple mauve 6-pan over here, and then kind of a warm neutral 6-pan over here, which I love, a warm, cool mix in a palette. And then we've got this really beautiful pop of bright green that I have already used, so I can tell you a bit about the formula, and then like a dark brown, almost charcoal. So pretty. And then when you look at the shade names, they are all references to Prohibition era, like Chicago, this shade is called Prohibition, or cocktails like a Gin Rickey or an Aviation or Chicago Fizz. So I think these are really pretty. I haven't really swatched everything. I just did some brief swatches of the shimmers, and they are very sparkly. So we've got an iridescent here, this like red, gold, green here. This is like a purple base to a green. And then we've got this purple purple base shifty shade. It has like a bit of red and pink to it. And then this one looks kind of pink in the pan, but there's a bit of warmth and champagne and other colors in there. And you'll see that when we do actual swatches. But this is their last palette I really enjoy as well. I like their fall palettes a lot, but this might end up beating it in my yearly ranking. We'll have to see. So like I said, this is going to be launching on the 8th of October. I will have a link down below. I do have a code Nomad Cosmetics. It is non-affiliated, it's just bones, and it'll save you 10%. Always use mine, or always use someone's, not always use mine. I mean, you can always use mine, but always use someone's code. I always use a code when I order things, affiliate or not, because it can help other creators, but also it saves me a little bit of money. So always use a code, never pay full price. Mine doesn't earn me any money. It's just to save you money. So I do know some people have affiliate codes with them. I just do not. So before we get into the swatches and everything else, I always like to give this preface of, yes, this was sent to me in PR, and yes, I do talk to the brand owners all the time. I do consider them friends, but if I don't like something or it's not performing, I'm always going to tell you the truth. There have been some of their palettes where I was like, this is just not for me, or these shades don't, like, I like these shades, but these shades don't work on my skin tone. I will always be honest with you, even though there is that bias, but I've never lied on this channel. But we're also going to do some swatches before we go into doing at least one look tonight. And I always like to preface my swatches of, these are just to show you what the colors look like on my skin tone. I have a medium olive undertone, so if you have a similar skin tone, this can be helpful. I will take my watch off. I don't put any primer or lotion or anything down. I just do the swatches to see what the tones look like. I think swatch performance really doesn't tell you anything about actual eye performance. They're just pretty, and it's a nice way to see the color story a different way. So I'm going to turn the camera down, we'll do the swatches, and then we'll get into the looks. Okay, so welcome to my table. I didn't grab any comparisons. I don't think I really have anything that is comparable color story-wise to this, but I do really love it. I hope you can see the really pretty velvet texture here. It is slightly raised because of that. It's not as flat as this side. And then a better close-up of the color story. Hopefully you can kind of see some of those shifts. You might be able to in the reflection of the mirror. Really, really enjoy this color story. There are some really pale shades, but there's enough mid to depth that I think this is going to be a pretty universally usable color story. So I'm going to do things in families, and then we'll do the shimmers at the end, just so you can see the matte side. Before I do swatch, I'm going to ruin the embossings, but you can see there's cocktails here. So there's a tall glass here, like a Colin's glass. There's a short on the rocks glass. And then there's, looks kind of like a coupe glass and maybe a martini glass. This one already got a little destroyed. And then there's all of these booze bottles around the edges, and they each have letters on them. I don't know if it's supposed to spell anything or what. If there's some reason behind the letters, I did not ask. My first thought was, you know, tequila, gin, bourbon, I don't know, but I don't know what some of these would be, so I'm curious to find out when they announce more, since this hasn't been sneaked at all as I'm filming this, what the letters are actually going to be. But always sad to see the embossings get destroyed. But so I'm going to start on the more purple tones. So this is the shade The Drifter. Very silky, just like Nomad's normal mattes. Very, very pale, kind of lilac, almost pink. And this is the Violet Hour. This is a really pretty mauve, a little bit darker, a little bit cooler. This is Blind Pig. And if you're curious about my nails, it's one of the new Cleona Gray Matter shades. I don't remember which one, but I just did it a couple days ago. I already chipped a little at work, but. And then this is just a slightly more purple, a little more mauve tone. These kind of remind me of the Violette Vespertine from Viseart, but then you have the rest of this that is nothing like that palette. And then you've got a really nice dark kind of plummy shade. here for Knock and Speakeasy. So these are all very smooth. This one, it didn't go on as opaque as the others. We'll do a little bit of another layer. It does build on itself nicely though. And this one was almost white on me. But those are the purples. And then I will do the warm tones, the green and the charcoal. So the lightest here is going to be the shade Prohibition. Just a really nice beige. Absinthe, the Absinthe House, which reminds me, I think I need to buy some absinthe. I really enjoy absinthe. Really nice kind of golden brown, really pretty. And then we've got like more of a red and more of just a regular brown here. So this is Windy City. So we got a nice red brown, Caracana brown, and then the Drunken Goat, which is one of my favorite cheeses, is a nice warm brown. Really like kind of a basic warm neutral quad right there. Yeah, I really like that. These are basically the same tones as Lisa Eldridge's Cinnabar, these three mattes. And then the last two mattes are the Green Mill, which is this green, and Capone, which is this like dark charcoal shade. I like this pop of green in here. It's very thin. It's not a shade I would use as a transition, but I'm going to use it, I think, today, so we can see how it performs. And then the charcoal. I really like this color story. And now for the shimmers. So I'm just going to go straight across. So Chicago Fizz, very creamy. So I see a little bit of green flash, purple, pink, and kind of champagne. Very pretty. Might be able to see some of, yeah, you can see a little bit of the green flash in the mirror there. And then this is Aviation, not Aviator, Aviation. And that is definitely a purple base. I see a lot of sparkle. I see green sparkle, gold sparkle, white. And then in the shift, I'm seeing gray, green, and maybe another color. And then this is the shade Southside with the Nomad logo. And that is definitely a purple to green. I'm hoping that is apparent on camera. It is very shifty in person. So here is Chicago Fizz, and it is a little thinner, not in a bad way, and I see lots of sparkle. I see pink, gold, green, red, like everything. But then the base is kind of that pinky champagne. And then if I hold it this way, I'm just seeing green personally. And then there's that very purple one. I love that. Here's the green to purple. Kind of a gray purple base with a little bit of blue and then the green. And then the last two are going to be Boulevardier and Gin Ricky, which looks like a nice iridescent. These are really pretty. So this is definitely that red, orange, bronze, green, like the shade in the new Natasha Denona Warm palette, which that video is coming this week. I have it scheduled. And then this is a nice iridescent. I see green, champagne, and pink. Kind of reminds me of one of the Kaleidos highlighters. It's a little more almost black-based, darker. And then that is a really beautiful iridescent. So on camera I'm seeing pinky tones, but in person I'm seeing more red-green. So I moved the mirror over, so hopefully you can kind of see in the reflection some of those shifts. I definitely can on the red-green. And I'm seeing a little bit more of the green-purple next to it for Southside. That's definitely picking up the shifts a little bit better. Mirrors are very helpful for this. Okay, so welcome back to my face. Time to try these out. I do have 3 looks that I really want to do and have like in my head. So I might do 2, like do one, wash off my eyes and come back and do the other one and do another one tomorrow. Just because I don't know if I'll have time every day this week to do one, but we'll see. I do think it's fitting that I'm talking about a Speakeasy and alcohol themed palette when I'm sitting next to my alcohol. Like, this is where we keep everything, is right next to me. So sometimes you see like a random bottle in a thumbnail that I forget to move. Yeah, sometimes the gin is just right there. Okay, so if you're curious about the rest of my makeup, this is what I wore to work today. Basically, I just put the Lisa Eldridge skin tint all over and a little bit of the Mario bronzer, the liquid bronzer. It's just kind of an everyday, like those two, or the Mario bronzer plus concealer is just a really good combination because it doesn't really add depth to my skin, just warmth, especially when the skin tint washes out parts of my face where there's, you know, it's a little darker than other parts. So works really well to just kind of even things. And then I did order the new Suku collection, and my Selfridges order came today. So this is their winter collection. And so I didn't have any blush or anything on, just brows and the skin tint. So I threw on this shade as a blush. This is their Blurring Color Blush in 103. So it's one of the limited edition. They describe it as like a russet brown. So I'm wearing this as my blush. Really like this formula, had to get this. I also picked up, while I still could, the orange melting blush. Very excited for that. And then my lip is from, I'm wearing a Lisa Eldridge liner, and then the new lip from Suku, this collection. It is the shade 109 in the Fluid Glow. I also bought one of the Fluid Fogs. I like that this is matte and this is shiny. So that's the lip I have on. I might change it, but that's all I did, is I added the blush to the lip and powdered a little bit before I got on camera. And then, since I mentioned it in the intro, my birthday was a couple days ago. Didn't really celebrate. We're celebrating soon because my best friend has COVID and my husband just had his deviated septum fix, so he's currently in the bed napping. And I spent the weekend taking care of him. But I did buy the Sugu stuff for myself as a birthday present. And then Steven sent me some earrings for my birthday. I posted on Instagram, but Steven Ford, Steven of Fortitude on Instagram and sometimes YouTube. So there's these little wooden Frida Kahlo earrings, and they came with little flaming hearts as well. And then there's these little sugar skull ones with marigolds, which I love and can't wait to wear at the end of the month a lot. And then these really beautiful blue-white ones. Very excited to keep wearing those. They're all made out of wood. Very cute. Wore these the last 2 days just because I had to. So I think for the first look, I'm going to use the green shades as the primary focus. And then I have one look in mind with these, and then one look in mind with some of these warmer mattes. But I'm gonna start with my NARS eyeshadow base. I could also use the Lisa Eldridge liquid shadow, but I will probably use that for one of the other looks, maybe the warm look. But today I wanna use the NARS eyeshadow base since I still have it. I can't just abandon it for the Lisa liquid shadow. And even though it's the end of the day and I'm not gonna be wearing these all day, I still wanna use a primer because I always use one, so it's good to use one no matter what. For my oily eyelids, at least. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a really light dusting of the warm brown up here, the Absinthe House. And I'm just doing that on a What's Up Beauty blot brush. This is really big and fluffy, which is why I'm picking up, so it's gonna disperse it nicely. This was sent to me in PR. They recently sent me all of their brushes and I've been enjoying them. They are natural hair, so it's nice to try them along with my reference Sonia G. And I'm just gonna really lightly dust that through here to give a little bit of definition. I planned this look in my head, so, and that performs lovely, just like Nomad's normal mattes, very smoothing, and you can see there was a decent amount of pigment, so you can build it up if I used a denser brush, but buffing it out just kind of sets a nice wash, like for me, a skin tone wash up here with a little bit of definition. I want to take the green shade. So I did try it last night and it is really pretty packed on, like an inner corner, lid shade, and you'll see that now. I don't think it's too bright for me to like use as kind of a transition shade or something. You could probably put it all over your lid and it would be pretty, but I wouldn't like start a look with this and then try to build in those warmer tones. I think it's more of an accent color. So I'm gonna just pick that up on a blending brush. This is a Sigma. See, it's got some nice color to it. And I'm going to pat it on the lid and inner part. So you can see it is pretty pigmented, but pale. And the edges buff nicely. So you can look, if you look, if I zoom in, I forgot to zoom in a little bit. You can see the edges are buffing nicely, but it's not a shade that I would necessarily use as a transition with any of these. I'll be curious to see what other people do. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit more, these kind of pale bright shades, almost pastel, almost neon, like a yeah, it's like very pastel on my skin tone. You can see work best with patting and just kind of lightly dusting the edges. So it's gonna brighten that part of the lid and the inner corner, but not, I don't think, not be too much. I'm just gonna pat a little of the brown out here. Almost give myself a two-tone crease. The green isn't really much in the crease though. It's mostly the lid and then the inner arc right here. It's not in the crease. And then I'm gonna take a really tiny brush. This is a Refer 14 Mini. And I'm gonna pick up Capone, which is the charcoal shade down here. And I like that the darkest shade is in the middle and you can use it with either side to really deepen. I could obviously go in with Drunken Goat or something and build more of a warm look, and I will probably do that with a more warm look, but I wanted to stick with the green being the focus. So I'm just putting that on the outer corner and the outer part of my lash line. It's blending nicely. I'm gonna put that into the outer part of the crease as well. That's why I like this kind of brush. Refer is just announcing their new holiday collection. I have not decided if I'm gonna pick it up. They didn't send it to me in PR. I have gotten PR from them a couple times, but not this new holiday set. But I am very intrigued by it. I just don't really need more brushes right now, or to spend another 100 and something on brushes, however much it's gonna cost. That's blending really nicely. It's diffusing into the warmer brown really nicely, and that's why I won't put that there, so that there'd be something to diffuse into. Make this a little more neutral, a little less warm, and build up that color out here. And I like a little bit of depth on the lash line. I like this a lot. You could put the green just all over the lid if you wanted, but I'm gonna do this on the other side, and then we're gonna try that green to purple shimmer. Okay, so I just repeated this on the other eye. I really like this look. I would actually honestly do this as an all matte look, just like this. And I think that would be really pretty. And I think you could just stop here. I mean, you could also stop at any point. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the Prohibition shade. I want to see how that works on the inner corner as like an inner corner highlight for myself. Might be a good buffing out shade if you're light. Yeah, That's a nice inner corner for me. Okay, but I do want to try the shimmer. So I'm gonna do it with my finger, and I'm gonna pick it up. I just feel like it's gonna work best with a finger. I'll try with a brush first. This is my favorite brush for picking up shimmers. It is the 21, and you can see clearly that green there. And then if I'm holding it this way, you see the purple. I'm gonna put that on the lid. So yeah, you can get a really sheer wash of sparkle with that, but I want to really put this all over. And there's that shift. And by putting it over the green matte, you can really pull out the green shift of it. And then by putting it out here over the more charcoal matte, along with the curvature of your eye, it's gonna emphasize the darker part of the shift. I really like that. And yeah, you can definitely see that purple base over here and the green there. And the green matte underneath just makes that look even more green. This is exactly what I wanted. And then when I'm done, if I have anything left on my finger, which obviously there is, I like to just kind of tap over. I don't want to lose the definition of the mattes in the crease, but having that like green sheer sparkle kind of go all over, I think just looks really pretty, and it looks a little more diffused sparkle-wise, but then there's still that definition. Okay, I really like this look. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna go off camera real quick, throw on my mascara, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and this is the finished first look. I just went ahead and added my Lisa Eldridge mascara, and that is all. I really like this look. This is exactly what I had planned and like kind of pictured in my mind, and I'm really happy that it came out exactly how I wanted. So let me know what you think of this look, and then I'm gonna go on and be back either later tonight or tomorrow for looks 2, maybe 3. We'll see when what I end up filming. But I definitely have lots of ideas. So there's gonna be at least one more look, maybe 2, and I'll see you in the next little bit. Okay, so it is time for the second look. I decided to do them same day, took a little break, washed off the makeup around my eyes, and everything else is the same. The only thing I did is, because I did wipe away some of my blush, I added some of the other Suku blush I got. So this is the shade 06 in the Melting Blush. So I put a little bit of that on. I can already tell this is gonna be my go-to blush. These are gonna be my go-to blushes for the fall. That was hard. This look I already have planned. It's warm tone, gonna go with that. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. I just really wanna see what this shade is gonna look like on the lid. And it does have a bit of pink to it, but I also see some warmth, some gold, champagne. So I really wanna try wearing this with the warm mattes versus just these, because this is a shimmer. I like this shade, and I have something like that in the Natasha Denona palette and in singles, but I really wanna try this and not just with the purples. So I'm going to just build up with the warm neutrals. So I'm gonna start with the shade again, but I'm gonna build it up a little bit more and then work into the others. So I'm just going in with the same What's Up Beauty brush, tap off the excess. And I did prime this time with the Lisa Eldridge Shadow and Phoebe. It's just a really good skin tone base shade for me. Buffing this all over, and I'm using a little bit more because I don't want the focus to be on the green. And you can see it. This is just that Absinthe House shade. It does build up nicely, especially over this base. So I just repeated on the other eye while an ambulance went by. It does show up, I think, a little bit darker over this base because this does have some pigment to it versus just being clear like the others. This would be a perfect like everyday definition without really being much kind of vibe. And I'm gonna try a little bit of Windy City and then I think Drunken Goat. So picking up a little bit of that on this Sonuji brush. Nope, I'm gonna pick it up on this Sonuji brush. This is the T3, so it's got a bit of a point to it. So it'll be nice to go in the crease. And then, as always, tap off the excess. And I'm just going to brush that into the crease. This is my favorite kind of like a red tone. I don't really like true reds, but like a terracotta red or a really red brown like this, or the red in Midnight Sun, like that's my kind of red. But blending it into the Absinthe House is, because there's so much golden brown there, it's just making it warmer without being like quite as red as it looks here. If I started with it, it would look a little bit more red. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into a little bit of this. I just wanna try all of these shades. I wanna see how dark I can get without the charcoal. So now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Drunken Goat on a small Sigma brush. Hold that up out here. So you can get a decent amount of depth without using the charcoal. And these all perform really nicely. They're very smooth and just kind of effortlessly blending into each other. Yeah, I really like that. And I'll take a little bit of Capone on the same brush and just put it right here, the very outer edge. And then just diffusing that. I like that this is small, but has enough fluff that you can still blend out here. I really like that. Nice warm brown smoky eye. I could, if you wanted to do an all matte look, kind of like how the green started all matte, you could put Prohibition all over the lid, and that would be really pretty. I'll actually pick up a little bit with my finger and just put a little bit there so you can see. If you wanted like a brighter lid, or use Absinthe or something if you want it smoky. So I'm gonna repeat this on the other eye real quick. I really like that. You could just leave it like this if you wanted an all matte look, but I really wanna try this shimmer because I do see a little bit of green. I see some warmth in that like kind of champagne-y tone, and then I also see that pink. So I'm gonna use my finger again. Actually, for this one, I think I'm gonna use the Pat McGrath Intensifies stick to give it a sticky base. I wanna see, since this is so neutral, like a warm neutral lid, I wanna see what that does. So I'm just gonna go in when Chicago Fizz with my finger, really ruin that embossing. And put it on that, yeah, that you definitely get more opacity and straight metallic when you use the tacky base, which is, what I figured. That's really pretty. So it's definitely pink. Like you could use this because it's got the green on the edge and some warmth in there. You could use that, but also some cool pink. You could really use this with either the purple mattes or these mattes. I really like that. I'm gonna do the other side without the intensifiers just so we can see. So you get more sparkle and less smooth metallic. So whatever your preference is, I actually think I prefer this to a more smooth metallic, but yeah, you can see smooth with some sparkle there over the tacky base. In this, you're getting a lot more visible sparkle. I'm glad I could show you how it performs over tacky base, non-tacky base. I like both. I do really like that you can see a lot of sparkle here, but this you see the shift a little bit more because it's smoother. And then I think I'm gonna take a little bit of the iridescent shade on a brush, and I'm gonna put that kind of here. It pulls a little orange. Like if I'm looking at this eye, I just see orange. On the side I see some of the other colors. So So that would also be really pretty all over the lid. I think it'll pair really nicely with this though. Okay, pretty easy look. I'm gonna go add some mascara again and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and this is the final second look. I really like it. If you wanna go full warm, I would definitely add this shimmer instead because you've got that red to gold base and then you've got so much gold in this iridescent shade. But I really like this pink, purple, gold, green shimmer paired with the warm tone mattes. It makes it a little less warm, a little bit more neutral. I really like it. This is exactly what I wanted. So tomorrow I will play with the more purple tones and then we'll wrap this up and see what the final thoughts are. Okay, so I'm back and this is gonna be the third and final look of the video. It's been a couple days. I've tried the palette out another time. I just didn't have time to film yesterday or the energy. So I am here to do the final look. Base makeup is pretty much the same as the other ones except for my lip is a different one of the Suku lips. This is the Fluid Fog. This is not from the new collection. This is a permanent one. This is the shade 07. I wore this today at work, and so I just put it back on. And then I did finally pick up the KJH Hypershine highlighter. I got the shade Light Copper. So I have a little bit of this layered with the same Suku blush that I had on in the other parts of the video, or the first look, the brown one from the new winter collection. So I have those two layered, and that's really the only difference, and then a little bit of concealer where I needed it. For today's look, I really want to use the purple tones, and I'm going to do it kind of like an everyday work look for me. I want to do more of a smoky eye. Some people like to start with the pale shade and build down. Some people like to start with the darker shade. I like to start in the mid, so I think I'm going to start with the Violet Hour and build up depth that way. So obviously this is a warmer brown lip, very nice fall lip. So I like that contrast, but we'll see once I have the look fully done what I think. I'm gonna do a very light dusting of the Violet Hour. And this is a Rephr 1 brush. This is my go-to brush for most things. And I'm just going to, that's a little lighter than I thought. So I'm gonna dust this as kind of a base shade in the crease. And kind of tap it all over. Yeah, that's a little lighter than I meant. So I'm gonna go into Blind Pig, and I'm gonna pick up on the same brush. You see, got a little bit more pigment to it. And I'm gonna start putting that on my lid, and I'm just using the same brush. And I want this all over my lid and up. Most days I would probably actually start with this and then blend the edges with the other one, but Violet Hour looked like it would be a little bit darker and I forgot. So just blending this into the lash line a little bit, making sure that there's a decent amount of pigment there, and blending up. I like this style of brush because it has a flat side, but it's still fluffy. So I can pack it down and blend. I'm not really a fan of pigments and shades that you have to pack and then pack the edges, but I do want to be able to deposit with one side of the brush. You could easily just leave it right here, just tidy up the edges and do an all matte purple kind of mid-tone look. That would be really pretty. And then I'm gonna grab a slightly denser packing brush. This is from What's Up Beauty. Again, I got this one sent to me in PR, and I used this with the same shade the other day, and I'm gonna pick up the darkest purple shade, which is Knock and Speakeasy. Picks up really nice, and you can see it's a nice plummy tone. And I'm gonna put that on the lash line all across my lid and blend it into that more mid-tone shade. So once I have it kind of all over my actual lid, not into the crease, You can put it onto the crease if you want, depending on your eye shape. I'm going to just take the other brush again and diffuse the edges and make sure everything is blended nicely. If you wanted it a little bit darker and you have a tacky base, you could start with the darkest shade, but I like to start in the middle and then build depth and brightness. I find I have more control that way. And then I'm just turning the brush on its side and really going through to make sure everything is nicely blended. I really like that. This is with any color, greens, browns. This is basically the brown version or a purple version of a brown look that I do all the time for work when I want something on the eye, but I don't want to spend a lot of time. Just that like all matte smoky eye is kind of a go-to for me. I really like that. I'm gonna do this on the other eye real quick and then we'll get into the shimmer. Okay, so I just copied it on the other eye and then I took the first brush again, and with what was left on it, I kind of dusted lightly down here so that it's not like, I didn't pack pigment down. I don't have a full amount of pigment down here, but there's that little bit of a haze of color, which I really enjoy. And then I'm gonna go into the shimmer. So I'm gonna use this one. I might use a little bit of something else, but I'm primarily gonna focus on the aviation shade. So I'm gonna pick that up with my finger. See that bit of blue there, the purple there. There's kind of a gray if I hold it this way. Really pretty. And I'm just gonna put that all over the lid. Obviously you could like do this, go all day and then add this at the end if you want. If you don't like to wear sparkle during the day, but I do. And I like the way sparkle looks over a smoky eye like that with the mattes all over the lid. So it does pull a little blue. It pulls. I've seen a lot of purple in person and it really blending into the matte, but because lights, I am seeing a lot of blue reflect. It's kind of like similar to my nails where there's purple that way, blue this way. Really like that, and I just put that all over the lid. I still have the definition of the smoky eye, and then what's ever left on my finger I kind of trail up again because I like that sparkle going up. Obviously you could just put it on the lid. You could use a tacky base if you want to keep it in one spot. But I really like, that's it just on the lid, and there's it kind of trailing up. So you still see the definition there. And you just get that hint of sparkle when the light hits it. I like both. I do both depending on the day. But my instinct is to tap a little bit up there always. Okay, I really like that. Exactly what I was kind of hoping and envisioning in my head. I don't think I need another shimmer or anything else. I take a little bit of the Chicago Fizz shade that I used in the second look and put it right in the center. Okay, I'm just gonna go add mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and this is the finished final look, finished third look. I really like it. This is exactly what I hoped. All I did was add a little bit of Mainly Seltzer mascara, and I hope on camera it's showing just how sparkly this is. It's especially over the darker matte base, and if you wanted more depth you could add the component shade or something, but it's the perfect amount of depth for me and what I like on most days. And you can really see just how multi-dimensional and sparkly the shimmer is in person. I will try to insert a clip here as well. Really, really like this. So, and I could put on a cooler tone lip to go with this, but neutral cheek, warmer, neutral lip, I'm actually okay with this. So final thoughts for the Nomad Chicago Speakeasy palette. I've used all of the shades in here now, except for the shimmer on the lid. I've used everything else. I could have used that yesterday. I just didn't feel like it. Like normal, the mattes are even better. Like Nomad's formula is always kind of slightly improving. I feel like they're always making little tweaks to make it better. And these are really silky, really soft, blendable. There's enough pigment, but it's not like too pigmented. You saw this was really easy. I did this whole look with 2 brushes. a slightly fluffier and a slightly denser version of the same shape. Really like this color story. I like it goes really pale for both sides. It goes pretty deep in both sides, and then you've got the very deep neutral shade that can be used to either. I like the pop of green. Obviously, how well this is going to show up on you is dependent on your skin tone, but I feel like it's going to show up pretty well on a decent number of people. And the shimmers in here are, I think, some of my favorites they've ever done. Really liked the last palette they did. And color story wise, still have some favorites from old palettes, but these are so pretty, so dimensional, so sparkly. I don't think they've ever had Nomad, even their regular metallics have a good amount of sparkle in them. So it'll be like a smooth copper, but you'll see a little pink and gold and other color specks in it to make it a little more dimensional. It's something that they always do, and I think it really makes them stand out. And this is just like that really amped up. So there is like a shift plus all of that really beautiful twinkle and sparkle. It's just really nice. I'm very pleased with this. Definitely think this is worth the money if you like this color story and are intrigued by these formulas for the shimmers and stuff. Obviously, if you hate purples, don't get it. If you hate warm tones and you're only gonna use the purples, I don't think it would be worth it either. But if you're someone like me that likes both of these like subsets and you like a mix of warm and cool, I'm sure there's ways you could also incorporate them. Like you could use this with any of them. You could use, yeah, I'm sure there's some ways that you can incorporate some of the warm and cool. You could use the warm shimmers over the cool. You can really mix around, but even just staying in kind of sections, it's really versatile. I really like this. So I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, this is launching in a couple days. I will have a link and all of the information in the description box, like always. And like I said at the beginning, I do have a code. It's just Bones. It's not affiliated. I don't earn any money from it, although I've been tempted to ask if I could be an affiliate, but I don't, as of right now, I don't earn any money from that, so it's just to save you money. So please use a code, someone's, save some money, never pay full price. And let me know what you think. Which look of these was your favorite? Are you thinking about picking this up? I'd love to hear your thoughts and talk to you all in the comments like normal. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. It really, really helps. And I will see you all in my next video.